After gushing about Rainbow Rocks, we've returned to talk about the Equestria Girls series once again. As I said in the previous review, I found the second film to have a higher quality than the original. The villains were both intimidating and fun, the songs were catchy, and Sunset Shimmer went from being the villain I hated to the hero that I can actually begin to like. The only weak point was the Humane Five, who did nothing but bicker and whine until the finale, where they inevitably banded together to beat the bad guys in what I have labeled the best climax of the series so far. So, of course, another film was inevitable, especially after the cliffhanger with a human version of Twilight Sparkle investigating the weird events occurring at Canterlot High School. And now the time has come to take a look at that sequel, known as Friendship Games. Will this film be better than the last, or will it fail to live up to the high expectations Rainbow Rocks established? Well, as Tom Hardy once said, "Let the games begin." We begin once more in the human world, where Sunset Shimmer is running to Canterlot High on an early morning while sporting a new outfit. Her and the Humane Five meet up at the front of the school, where Rainbow Dash has brought them all together for an emergency like no other. She needs a spare guitar string! Dun dun dun! We're not even 5 minutes into this film, and already Rainbow Dash is making an effort to get on my nerves. She sent out an emergency group text to everyone in the hopes that one of them had a spare guitar string, so she can perform for some fans from the Battle of the Bands. If she starts singing a reprise of Awesome As I Want to Be, I'm out of here. Mercifully, that doesn't happen. Instead, while the others go inside to see Rainbow's performance, Sunset sits on the front steps to write in her magical journal from the last film. And no sooner does she write out a message to Twilight Sparkle in Equestria, than a girl in a hoodie arrives to investigate the mirror with her PKE meter. Yeah, it probably has some other technobabble name, but look at it. It's the PKE meter from Ghostbusters. Way to take a page from Suburban Commando, guys! But before Sunset can discover who the girl is, she jumps onto another bus which conveniently made a stop just minutes after the original bus dropped her off. Seriously, what's the bus schedule like in this town? And of course, while Sunset wonders who the girl was, it's revealed that the girl was the human Twilight Sparkle, more commonly referred to as Sci-Twi, due to her prowess in science. This is proven by her immediately dismantling her PKE meter and using the technology inside to make a device that totally doesn't look like a compact mirror at all. After a half-ominous, half-energetic title sequence, we get some backstory about what the Friendship Games are and who Canterlot High will be competing against this year. Crystal Prep's Shadow Bolts, who are no doubt a not-so-subtle reference to the Shadow Bolts from Season 1, Episode 2 of the TV show. The Humane Five groan about how Crystal Prep has always beaten them every year, but Sunset initially scoffs at how silly the rivalry is. And just like that, Sunny has earned some brownie points from me. Well, at least Rainbow Dash isn't spontaneously singing about how awesome she is and how she's gonna win the Friendship Games. Oh no. She instead spontaneously sings about how everyone is awesome and how they're going to win the Friendship Games. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when we're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we're living our dream. Honestly though, this song is pretty good in spite of its "Yay, school pride" vibe. It's a peppy, energetic song that gets everyone in the room amped up in spite of their initial melancholy. They even make a reference to Sunset's she-demon form. Nice of them to remind Sunset about the lowest point in her life. Again. But things take a strange turn as Rainbow Dash's powers start to appear in spite of her not playing her guitar. After feeding Rainbow Dash's ego for a split second, Sunset gives probably the most fitting line to describe Equestria Girls as a whole.
It just seems so random.
Chalk another point up for Miss Shimmer. Anyways, in order to keep up appearances, Vice Principal Luna assigns Sunset Shimmer with the task of keeping the Humane's 5 magic under control, but that is easier said than done. Sunny already feels the stress of not knowing how the magic works due to its sudden evolution, and writes a worried message to the Equestrian Twilight hoping for a reply soon. Meanwhile, at the sparkliest of preparatory schools, Sci-Twi sings an obligatory Disney princess song while on her way to the principal's office. This is probably one of the few songs I'm not overly interested in, but it does help reinforce that this Twilight is socially awkward, yet intelligent. So intelligent, in fact, that she feels that sticking around Crystal Prep would only be a hindrance, which is why she has sent the principal an application for an independent study program. Speaking of the principal, Miss Abacus Cinch here asks Sci-Twi to participate in the friendship games in order to basically show off her most gifted student like a prized pony. And yes, I just realized that I made a terrible joke. When Sci-Twi shows reluctance, Cinch basically extorts her by saying if Sci-Twi fails to participate and win the games, her application to the independent study program will be denied. Sci-Twi begrudgingly agrees, which gives way to the movie introducing the most obnoxious, if not underdeveloped characters I've seen in these films. The Shadow Bolts. There's Sour Sweet, who is essentially Two-Face, Indigo Zap, a loud, over-competitive girl, Sunny Flare, who does nothing, Sugar Coat, who is so blunt you could use her as a bludgeoning weapon, and Lemon Zest, who gets a brownie point for her taste in music. As the Shadow Bolts get off their bus at Canterlot High, Sci-Twi picks up a signal from inside using her compact mirror device and sets off to find the source. Kinda like Yami Bakura and his Millennium Ring. Inevitably, every student inside mistakes her for the equestrian Twilight. Even Flash Sentry, who I swear has become the lost puppy looking for his master ever since Rainbow Rocks. Look how dejected the guy is whenever Sci-Twi brushes him aside. He looks so crushed. Even Derpy Hooves... Oh, sorry, Ditsy Do. What? That's wrong too? Well, what am I supposed to call her? Ugh, I hate PC parents. Anyways, after Derpy makes an obligatory cameo to cheer Flash up, Sci-Twi converges on the location of the magic, which is just Rarity gushing about all the pointless clothes she made for the games. No sooner does she say making clothes makes her feel alive than her magic springs up, only for Sci-Twi's device to steal it. Not realizing what Sci-Twi has done, or that she is not the equestrian princess, the Humane Five, Sunset, and even Principal Celestia greet her like everyone else has, only for Cinch to drag her away minutes later. And then the first film rears its ugly head for a brief moment like a phantom, as Pinky becomes a Deus Ex Machina device in order to explain what the audience already knows about Sci-Twi. To which Principal Celestia gives the best response.
Never mind.
While the Humane Five wonder about Sci-Twi, Sunset tries to use the mirror to Equestria, only for Sci-Twi's Millennium Compact Mirror to steal her magic through the portal. Before Sunset can confront her, Sci-Twi leaves with her classmates, leaving Sunset to investigate the mirror. To her sheer horror, she realizes that the portal, which is now supposed to be open all the time, is dead. Nothing can get in, nothing can get out, including Princess Twilight. So, realizing she has to take matters into her own hands, Sunset goes to confront Twilight, who is still using her device to locate more magic. Before she can get any information, however, the Shadow Bolts intervene, but Pinky manages to snag Sci-Twi and have her help enlivening up the dull party in the gymnasium. As Pinky's tactics work, she starts to show her powers like the others, and the device goes nuts again. Not only devouring the magic, but also ripping open the very fabric of the universe until Sci-Twi snaps it shut. What was that quote from Sunset again?
It just seems so random.
I'm going to get so much use out of that line now. Principal Cinch immediately kills the party and pretty much reiterates that she will be the lukewarm bad guy for the movie, basically saying that Canterlot sucks and Crystal Prep rules. Nanny nanny boo boo, stick your head in doo doo. Okay, she didn't say that specifically, but she might as well have. What follows is a montage of events with the song Akadeka playing over. It's actually a fun segment with both teams talking smack to one another as events unfold. We even get cute moments like Flash Sentry and Bonbon somehow failing to make a cake and instead making sprinkled bread? Speaking of cake, check out the Mona Lisa cake that was of course made by Pinkie Pie. Don't ask how she did it, it's Pinkie Pie. Logic doesn't comply. So, the two teams compete in the academic decathlon segment of the friendship games until Sunset and Saitwai are the last two standing, each representing their schools. Of course. And while Sunset fails to score the point, the Humane Five and their classmates congratulate her for getting so far because friendship. After she wins the Akadeca, Saitwai meets Fluttershy, who shows off all of her animal friends while Twilight gives her dog, Spike, some air. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Spike was in this film, didn't I? Yeah, up until this point, Spike's presence in the film has been pretty lukewarm, if not non-existent. Why do I say up until this point? Because after Saitwai, once again, steals more magic and rips more holes in the universe, Spike somehow gains the ability to talk.
Spike, are you okay?
I think so.
It just seems so random.
After more extorting from Cinch, the Humane Five discover what the Friendship Games has in store next. A Tricross rally, with archery, roller skating, and motocross. Yes, motocross. In high school. Now before anyone starts freaking out, I actually did the research. This is an actual thing. Especially back in the 70s and 80s. It's not exactly a common thing due to how expensive it is, but it's a thing nonetheless. A very overkill sort of thing. And guess who shares my opinion?
Am I the only one who thinks this is overkill?
Ah, Sunset. One more brownie point for the bacon hair! So, the rally begins with the always bipolar Sour Sweet berating Saitwai for being an unathletic wuss. Gee, it's almost like she wasn't supposed to be in this competition. One could say that she's being forced to participate. Regardless, Applejack helps her out and reveals her pony powers in the process. You know the drill by now, the machine goes haywire, sucks in the magic, and more portals open up. Only this time, something comes out. Straight out of a hentai, a giant plant monster starts to attack the girls during the motocross segment, forcing Rainbow to show off her powers again and help whoever the monster captures. This catches Cinch's attention, and she covertly watches what unfolds next. While Rainbow Dash deals with the monster, Sunset wins the motocross segment, thus tying the score with Crystal Prep. Sunset doesn't give a care about the score though, as she snaps Saitwai's Millennium Compact Mirror shut, and basically snaps at her. All throughout this film, Sunset has been trying to contain and understand this magic. And then, Saitwai tampers with things she doesn't understand to the point where people almost got hurt or worse. This is the straw on the camel's back for Sunset, and she lashes out against Saitwai, almost to the point where you feel like the original Sunset starts to leak out. So, after Sunset gives her a tongue lashing, Saitwai leaves and the wheels in Cinch's head starts to turn. And then, Principal Celestia talks to Cinch and has probably the best idea in this entire film. Cancel the games and call it a tie between the schools. Cinch, being a sensible adult responsible for the well-being of the children attending her school, accepts the terms of this deal and they all live happily ever. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course Cinch refuses to take such a deal as it would tarnish her reputation. Thus, the students meet up for the final event. But Cinch pulls Saitwai aside to propose a crazy idea. Unleash the magic. Yes, through a song, Cinch and the Shadow Bolts tell Saitwai to fight fire with fire and use the magic that she has collected against the Wonder Bolts. Saitwai, having been abused by Cinch, her classmates, and even Sunset, gives into peer pressure and opens her device. What follows is the climax I teased in the last review. Saitwai goes through what looks like a terrifying transformation, reaching out to whoever can listen to her pleas for help before being enveloped and corrupted by the raw magic. Much like Sunset She-Demon, Twilight becomes drunk on power and becomes Midnight Sparkle. Don't look at me, I didn't name her. Midnight then proceeds to rip holes in the fabric of reality while cackling like a mad woman, while Sunset, the Humane Five, and even the Shadow Bolts try to save the students who fall through the cracks. Sunset tries to snap Midnight out of her madness, but it's no good. So Sunset grabs the discarded compact mirror in order to absorb more magic from her friends, in order to become Seraph Shimmer. Okay, that time I did name her. After Seraph seals the cracks, the two demigods proceed to have a Dragon Ball-style showdown, which Seraph inevitably wins when Spike momentarily distracts Midnight with those big puppet dog eyes. But victory isn't immediate, as Seraph doesn't straight up blast Midnight into oblivion. Rather, for a brief moment, she and Midnight are sealed into a white void, where Seraph tries once more to convince Midnight that there is a different way to learn about magic. A way that is far less lonely than the path she travels now. Saitwai takes Sunset's hand, and the two revert to their human forms, the crisis now averted. Cinch, who hid after causing this in the first place, demands that Canterlot High must forfeit the friendship games for their use of magic, or she will contact the school board. Everyone, even her own students and staff, call her out on her lies and blatant disregard for student safety, but invite her to tell the school board all about the magical flying girls, the portals to different dimensions, and the talking dog. Cinch, having finally been backed into a corner, silently walks away and has never been seen since. She's probably in the same alley as the Dazzlings. So, it's time for the obligatory wrap-up, with both teams winning the friendship games, somehow, and Saitwai wanting to transfer to Canterlot High rather than go through with her independent study application. Sunset and the Humane Five wholeheartedly accept Saitwai as a new friend, just when the mirror portal decides to work again. Yep, the Equestrian Twilight finally makes an appearance at the last 30 seconds of the film, right before the credits, to basically give a reason as to why the portal died, besides Saitwai stealing magic. And it's a funny, if not cute, 30 seconds. And with that, Friendship Games comes to a close with a cute slideshow. So, how was this film? Well, obviously it's a good film, and in some ways I suppose it's better than Rainbow Rocks. But I feel Friendship Games cannot surpass its predecessor. Now, like I said, it's a good film. The songs were catchy, some of the characters were written a lot better than before, especially Rainbow. The climax was certainly just as epic, if not more so than before, and the film was very entertaining overall. There's even this self-aware air about Friendship Games, as if the writers knew what the adult fan base was upset about and decided to throw them a bone for their troubles. But there are just certain aspects of the film that keep me from liking it more than I actually do. For starters, let's talk about the magic. I'm sure you folks are wondering just how the magic works in this world, and even if you're not, I'm gonna tell you anyway. According to Sunset Shimmer, at the end of the film, the magic now works only when the Humane Five show their elemental nature. For example, Applejack being honest, Pinkie Pie spreading cheer, etc., etc. To quote Sunset,
It just seems so random.
after we clearly just established in Rainbow Rocks that the magic works with the instruments. Then again, in the original film the girls didn't do anything, and yet they were able to do that Deus Ex Machina attack. This may sound like a nitpick, and I will admit it kind of is, but I'm just asking for some consistency in these films. Also, let's talk about the Shadow Bolts. These ladies were probably the least threatening villains since Sunset, forcing Cinch to carry the weight and being the driving force of evil. And even that doesn't work all the time. I don't know, maybe I just prefer it when the villains are equestrian creatures masquerading as humans who know more about magic than Sunset and the Equestrian Twilight. But sometimes changes are necessary in order to keep things interesting, otherwise these films would be a tad formulaic in its structure. Although, maybe it was too late for the structure in the first place, as the plotline of Saitwai stealing the magic became a tad repetitive. She tracks magic down, encounters a member of the Humane Five, they show an attribute of themselves which reveals their magic, Saitwai steals it, and causes weird things to happen, rinse and repeat. Look, I'm not saying Friendship Games is bad. I'm honestly grasping at straws trying to find things to genuinely complain about rather than just sounding very nitpicky. If anything, I appreciate that this film took the risk of introducing an all-human cast, minus Sunset Shimmer and Spike of course, and have the villains be humans rather than an obligatory equestrian villain. Also, cutting Sunset off from the portal was honestly a nice touch, allowing Sunset to prove that she could handle this situation without Princess Twilight using the power of Deus Ex Machina to save the day from her human counterpart. But, for some reason, I cannot like this film more than Rainbow Rocks. Maybe it's because of the lack of character in certain villains, maybe it's the inconsistencies in the overall plot across the films, maybe it's the repetitive structure of the story. I don't know. What I do know is this. Friendship Games is another great entry in the Equestria Girls series, and I would watch it again if I wanted to, in spite of my love-hate relationship with the film. It may not be as personally gratifying as Rainbow Rocks, but it certainly is an improvement over the first film. I know that's not saying a lot, but it's the best I can say for this film. In either case, that's 3 films down, 1 more to go. In the meantime, never stop rambling. This has been Rambles and Mumbles of a Nerd, and I thank you very much for watching this episode. Sunset Why did I go to say Sunset Yes, Sunset shits on the front steps. Fuck your education. Sunset sits while Sunset, the Humane Five, and even the Shatterbirds. Look at us, we're the Shatterbirds.